Warmly to Louisville, the Flaming Lips.
All right. Hello. Thank you, Dan. My name is Wayne, and this is Stephen, and we are, I guess, 2/3 of the Flaming Lips. Michael is the other guy who's usually over here. He's up in the studio working with Dave Fridman, who sometimes people think is another member of the Flaming Lips, and when we're recording, and which we do a lot of, he is essentially another member of the band. So today, depending on how you look at it, you're getting 2/3 of the Flaming Lips, or maybe even a half, depending on which part you like better. And when we were sort of talking about the idea of what we were going to do, this presentation for you guys today, we had the bright idea of showing you some video, which will look great for you people in the room here. So you people who are listening to this on the radio, in your mind, picture something happening that's exciting while I talk. But we wanted it to be good for you guys, regardless of the radio part. And so what we're going to do is we're going to sort of, a lot of people here know us from a long time ago and have sort of followed us for a while, and we've changed, and to some people's opinions we've gotten better, to some people's opinions we've gotten worse. We've progressed. That doesn't mean to something that's always better. It's just a progression, evolution, or whatever you want to call it. But the way we started out is like a lot of bands. You just have a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm, and you play with your friends. And Stephen wasn't even in the band then. We started in 1983, and Stephen's been with us since
91.
Yeah. We've been a band for a long time. We've had a lot of time to work on this. And when we started out, we were very enthusiastic. We couldn't play very well, and we performed. That was mostly what we did, is we performed. And as we progressed, we sort of found that we liked being in the studio and doing stuff, these tricks and things that you could do to make our records. And little by little, I think that became more what we're about than even our performances. But do you have a problem? Mute the VCR. Oh, okay. I got you here. So anyway, so little by little, we like a lot of bands and artists do, they have to sort of come to terms either with being a recording artist or being a performer, or even just being an entertainer who makes records. And little by little, we've tried to, and I'm not saying we do this in a good way or even a unique way, but we've tried to take what we do in the studio and what we do live and sort of combine them. So in the past couple of years, we'll do this thing, and I'll show you a little video clip of kind of the way we've started to present ourselves to audiences. And what we do is we bring a lot of our recordings with us. We bring tapes with us that play, they play, and then we set up junk in front of that, and then we sing and play on top of that. And I'll show you a little clip, but it may not sound very good, but you'll get an idea of sort of the the visual aspect. There's Stephen. There's some psychedelic visual crap. There's me playing a gong. See, isn't that exciting? Yeah. And there's Michael. He's not here. The ball guy right there. I brought some blood with me, but I've been asked not to put any on my head. And so in a live contest, some of this becomes kind of absurd, but we aim to entertain. That's the thing that we want to do the most, is just entertain people. Okay, so you get an idea of, like, if you came to see us play, I still would talk a lot, but there'd be a lot of junk up here that we could turn on, and it would look like something. So we do these elaborate recordings now that seem like take us years, but don't literally take us years. We take a long time to do them. We'll record for a couple of weeks, sometimes on one song, sometimes on several songs. We'll go home for a couple of months, go back and rework these, and sometimes this all happens real quick. Sometimes it takes a couple of years. This last record we worked on with Dave Fridman up at his studio. We started, the summer of 2000 and just finished it in April. And I think what we'll try to do here is sort of illuminate with some sort of still entertainment value. We'll play you a little bit of these songs that maybe don't sound all that elaborate. I think sometimes people think that we spend so much time on them that they should be these behemoth sort of Phil Spector type recordings. And some of our stuff probably comes across that way. And some of it is very simple, but we just happen to rework it a lot. And a lot of it is done through, the great things you can do with computers and studio trickery and experience and all the things that it takes to make entertaining little soundscapes. So what we're going to do, and we hope this is entertaining, and maybe it gives you some idea of how we're combining our recording stuff and our performance stuff, and then you guys can fill in the gaps of all the psychedelics and lights and dancing women and all that, okay? So what we're going to start with, and this will mean that you guys switch over from the VCR to the CD. We're going to start with a song. It's called Do You Realize? And me and Steven were at my house. I think it was about
last summer, I guess.
I don't know. I think it was around Thanksgiving. No?
That's a big difference.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of the wrong song. No? Summer? No. When you were at my house, that much is sure. And now the whole thing seems. No. Now, which song are you thinking of?
Do you realize?
No, it was around Thanksgiving.
The first time you came to my house and we worked it out.
No, I'm telling you the first time I played you my crappy tape of it. Okay. Because it wouldn't have gone to your house if you thought it sucked. I'd have said, okay, I'll try again. So maybe if we went to your house, there was more. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. It was just a chord progression that you helped me work out. And then I went home. I got you. It was. All right. So by the time it got to be something more complete, I'm sorry. We hadn't really thought that much about exactly what we were going to say. We'd just tell you the truth. And this is how it comes out. I played this song for him, and I think Stephen got the feeling it was not to be compared to him, but thought it was along the lines of like what a John Lennon song is like, something like Imagine, or what was the other one we thought? Number 9 Dream. Some of these that have a kind of philosophical but vague kind of sentiment going on. And a lot of times I'll come up with lyrics and ideas and melodies really all sort of just on the spot. And sometimes they're great and sometimes they're not. But I play them for people. If they like them, good. And if they don't, I change them. And that's pretty much how it works. And I had this line that I didn't think about that much. That seems to be an accidental sort of poignant moment in the song. The song sort of goes along and it's talking about, do you realize different things? Do you realize we're floating in space? Do you realize that happiness makes you cry? Some of these things are already sort of obvious to some people, but I'm just sort of pointing them out. And there was this line that I just sort of, it came out of me while I was doing it. It says, do you realize that everyone you know someday will die? And I didn't know if that was going to be a line that people heard that and said, Jesus, that's really depressing. Why don't you change that to something more uplifting? Or if they would hear that and think, well, that's really kind of moving. I've never heard that sentiment put in a song. And so we're going to present this song to you the way it's recorded, and you can judge, and then we'll sort of go through it a little bit in a performance. We'll see how that works, okay? And remember, it's that line. Everyone you know someday will die. You be the judge, okay? Because that really could make or break the rest of my sort of songwriting career, you know? So you see, there's a lot of stuff going on there. Even though probably comes across real simple by now, it goes through all these different workings, and I wish we were more sure of what we want when we go into record, but it just sometimes things happen, and you don't know which way a song is going to go. So you could see where to perform that song the way it sounds there, and a lot of bands don't do this. A lot of bands will just take their records and they'll do a reasonable job of recreating it. But that really isn't what we do. A lot of things that we're doing on our recordings, you can't necessarily recreate them. They're just stupid sounds that are in computers or on our tape decks, and there isn't really an instrument that you can get that someone could play to make that sound. So our solution, like I said earlier, was to bring these recordings along with us, and we augment them with performances sort of in front of them. So this song, we'll do a rendition of it here without all the dancing bears and naked women and blood. And you can get an idea of what it would be like off the CD and just perform. Okay? Sure. And I'll try to make that line work even better, all right?
Let them know, realize that life goes fast. It's hard to make the good things last. You realize the sun doesn't go down. It's just an illusion caused by the world spinning around. Do you realize that you have the most beautiful face? Do you realize?
All right. So see, that sort of illuminates what you can do, what the limitations of having the recording stuff go with us, and then us just being able to sing and feel whatever's sort of in the room there. Thank you all. So what was the next song we're going to do is... All right. So we have this record. It's called, as Dan pointed out earlier, you read the title, and it's called Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots. And we, throughout all of our career, have made records with absurd titles. Some people have cited, I think it was around Transmissions from the Satellite Heart, that we have progressively made our titles longer as our career sort of has gone on. We started out with a record just called The Flaming Lips. Pretty simple. I don't know if he meant that we started with that one, but we started, and then our next record was called Here It Is. And then it was Oh My God. Is that longer? Maybe by a letter. I'm not sure, depending on how you want to spell them. We spelled God G-A-W-D. That makes a lot of difference, with an exclamation point. Anyway, so it seemed like they kept getting progressively longer. So by the time we got to Transmissions from the Satellite Heart, if we weren't really doing that, but if we were doing that, that would start to get maybe kind of out of hand. We screwed the whole thing up after that by putting out a record called Clouds Taste Metallic. Now, it's still an absurd title, but it screwed up the theory of them getting progressively longer. After that, we put out a record, really screwed that up. It's called Zerika. One word, 4 records, but one word. Then we did the Soft Bulletin, which is just a title. By then, I think the whole theory has been thrown out the window. Again, we have a long title. It's called Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots. And how this title came about, we had this song. It was an instrumental song. It's a very strange, kind of loud, but not really melodic song, right? We didn't have a title for it. And a lot of times when you're recording, you have to call a song something. Otherwise they're just, the song we did yesterday or the song we did last week. So little by little they acquire titles. And we didn't, it was acquiring a title that I didn't want people to think that represented the song. So I quickly came up with a title for the song, which once I explain to you will seem very appropriate. And the title is Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots. Well, Yoshimi in the song is a fictitious character, just a woman, a Japanese woman. But in real life, there's a woman called Yoshimi who plays with a band called The Boredoms, who we met in 1994 while we were on Lollapalooza. And we became friends as much as we can know about each other. She speaks Japanese and not very good English. We don't speak any Japanese at all. Okay? So there are some subtle things that can't be communicated, but we realize she knows that we loved her music, and we think that she likes us to a certain extent, but it's hard to say exactly. Her band was playing at South by Southwest a year ago, March. We said, hey, the day you get there, would you want to do some recording with the Flaming Lips? And she said, as best that we could tell, she said yes. We showed up at a studio. We played her some tracks, and we didn't feel like we had to explain much to her. She's a marvelous musician. She plays drums, she sings, she plays guitar. She can do virtually anything, plays trumpet. And we thought we'll just play her some tracks, and whatever she does to them, we'll take them back to the studio and do stuff with it. And as best that we could communicate that intention to her, we felt like that's what we'll do. So we played her some tracks. Some of them she actually played music on, and sometimes she would just scream, and she does this marvelous scream. It sounds like someone is really being tortured, and to see her do it, you wouldn't believe that this sound could come out of her. So we put her on this track. So you have that little Japanese woman screaming while all this chaos of some kind of machinery feels like it's erupting around her. So I thought, I'll title this thing Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots. That sounds like a decently psychedelic title like that we come up with all the time, okay? And I'll play a little bit of it. That way you can hear it, okay? Right, you see a big robot, scream coming up. So anyway, it goes on like that for a couple of minutes, all right? So while I was thinking of this title for this strange little instrumental, I came across this other melody that we'd been working on. And again, like the Do You Realize song, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, well, I'll write a song. That's what I do, you know. The tape recorder's there, and I started singing this song about this scenario of Yoshimi battling the pink robots, all right? And it comes out as this beautiful, it's sentimental, again, the same way. But why would it be sentimental? I mean, it's just a ridiculous thing. Yoshimi battles the pink robots, but somewhere in there is this longing of this challenge or whatever. And so we did a second song that has this idea of Yoshimi battling the pink robots. I'll play a second of that for you. And even though they're not really related, that's how records are made. You just start doing stuff, you don't know what's going to happen.
She's a black belt in karate, working for the city.
Okay, so you see, they're not really related, but that one tells a story, okay? And so the song Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots got me thinking even more about this dumb little scenario of this little Japanese girl and robots and all that, okay? So because we don't necessarily intentionally do things like concept records, but a lot of people think we do. A lot of people think our last record, The Soft Bulletin, was an intentional concept record, and people come up to me all the time telling me the story of our last record, and that to me is always a great thing because the audience puts so much meaning sometimes into what you do that it's better than what we could do. It touches their lives, and it's their life that makes these records so important. I'm glad I get to do them, but it's always the audience's job to make them important to them. So we have this concept of Yoshimi battling the pink robots, and I thought, well, I'll come up with a song that talks about the robot's point of view. Let me play just 1 second of that, and then we'll do one last sad robot song, and then we'll be done. Like I said, it's not really a concept record, but you get some themes going, and it easily could become one. So you see, again, it's like this big elaborate. It took us a couple of weeks of changing things around to come up with something that we were satisfied with. And somewhere along the way, this concept of this robot, the idea of what the robot was thinking, turned into this really sort of sad story of this machine is so advanced that it's able to have these synthetic emotions. That's what the lyric hints at the beginning. And the robot, who's supposed to kill the Yoshimi character, has fallen in love with Yoshimi. And it was, these ideas came to me. It was around, I think it was Christmas of just this year. We have 4 dogs. One of them has sadly died since then, so now we have 3. At the time, we had 4 dogs. And my wife is always telling me that these dogs love her. And I'm trying to be sort of not to not overly pragmatic, but I try to say that, the idea of a dog loving you and a human loving you, I'm not sure it's the same thing, or it should be valued the same. And I said that, and I think it made her slightly sad. I mean, she believed me, but I thought about it later, and I thought, what does it matter? What does it matter if a person loves you, if a dog loves you, if you feel like a machine loves you? Some people feel like God loves them. And what is love? And how is there any proof that someone, something, or anything loves you? And I guess the proof is if you think you're loved, you're loved. And I changed my mind about the dog, and I thought, those dogs do love us, goddammit, they do. And I was glad of that. I was glad I was maybe, a recanting of my hardened, cynical self. I don't like to be cynical, but if it's real, you've got to be real. And I thought maybe this is something that we'll never know. And what is love, and where does it come from? And if you feel loved, maybe people think you're crazy for feeling love of something that isn't real, whether it's your record player or whether it's a person that you wish you hated but you feel love for them. So anyway, this is the idea of this song, and that'll be all we do, and I'm glad you guys were here, okay?
Unit 3021 is forming, makes a humming sound when its circuits duplicate emotions and it tries to comfort your sadness. As it tries, you're gone from its sadness. One more robot learns to be something more than a machine. When it tries the way it does, makes it seem like it can love. 'Cause it's hard to say what's real when you know the way you feel. And is it wrong to think it's love when it tries the way it does? Feeling a synthetic kind of love, dreaming a sympathetic wish as the lights blink faster and brighter. One more robot learns to be something more than a machine. When it tries the way it does, makes it seem like it can love. 'Cause it's hard to say what's real when you know the way you feel. Is it wrong to think it's love when it tries the way it does?
At the end of the song, the robot, because it's in love with Yoshimi, chooses to kill itself rather than to harm his beloved. So it goes like this. All right, thanks, everybody. Thanks.
Flaming Lips. Flaming Lips. Let's hear it. Thank you. Thanks a lot, you guys. Let's go back to studio. Scott, it's all yours, bro.
Thank you, Dan. The Flaming Lips live in our studios here at the HSA Broadband Building. My name's Scott Mullins. It's about 22 minutes in front of 5 o'clock. I'm going to be here until 6. We've got a lot of great music ahead, and coming up at the top of the hour, it is the Friday Ride Home, and we'll be playing music from my recent road trip.